everyone, welcome back to Painted Studio. I'm just setting up the live, turning the volume down so that I don't have to listen to myself. And we are here today. It is the 4th day of December, which means it's the 4th day of our Advent calendar sale. And the products on sale today are all of our glitters, our shatters, and our glass beads and our dusts. Now, for those not familiar with what those are, this, let me see, I've got to pull it out the right one. This is a shatter. This is the Cozumel color. This is a dust. That's our gold dust. These are glass beads. These are our pearl glass beads. This is more of our glitter. This is tinsel glitter and regular glitter. This is our ice glitter. And let me find some of our mica flakes. Now these I just happen to have in a bag, not in one of the nice jars, but these are what mica flakes look like. And we have different color mixes and different combinations of stuff, and we're going to show you some fun ways to use these today. Now, I'm putting on gloves because we've been playing with a lot of epoxy this week. So I'm going to show you how we can use all of these items that I just showed you in 2-part epoxies. And then we'll put some in some other stuff too, but those are the projects I'm working on right now. So let me flip this down. Make sure you can see the surface here, and I'm waiting for my iPhone to show me where I am, so clearly I need to go back up a little bit. I just want to make sure you all can see. I've got to do a little more. Hopefully that's enough. I'm gonna wait just a second. There's a lag from what you see me do. Yep, we're good. So iPhones have a little lag from what I could see on my phone, but it's pointing way down, so I can't see it clearly, to what I can see over on my iPad next to me. So obviously, if there are questions, do not hesitate to ask them. If I miss them, I will answer them later. Oh, great. I got the commenting turned off, and you'd think I could get that fixed. Okay. Elizabeth, nice to see you here, and I'm sure there's some other people who popped in whose names I haven't seen yet. And of course, if I don't say hi, it's not because I don't like you, it's because I didn't see your name scroll by. Right now, I'm going to mix up 2-part epoxy. I'm mixing our resin and our hardeners. I've already mixed it out, pre-measured before I went live, so that you guys could just see me mixing. And I always like to share me mixing the resins or the epoxies or whatever you're calling it. I know that confuses people. Resin is actually the material that's the binder, and epoxy is what this particular product is. So we're doing 2-part resin epoxy. It's acrylic, it's food safe once cured, next to no odor. Seriously, I have to stick my nose all the way in it to smell the odor. And of course you want to scrape out everything. This is our art resin epoxy. And 2-part epoxies come with resin half and the hardener half. The resin is the plastic and the acrylics and stuff that make the product, and then the hardener is what turns this liquid hard. So most of them, like our art resin 2-part epoxy, there's a hardener and there is a resin, and they have to be mixed equally. They need 2 equal parts when you pour them together. If you get too much resin and not enough hardener, you will have issues with the epoxy never hardening. You can have soft spots, you could have gummy spots. It makes a heck of a mess. It's a pain. If you have too much hardener, the product hardens too quickly, it could start to harden long before you're ready to pour it, and you could end up with hardened clumps in it that don't spread out, don't pour out. And if you do manage to get it so it's pourable, you're very likely to have it become very, very brittle. All right, so most epoxies like this, you want to mix for at least 2 minutes or until you know it's thoroughly mixed. Art resin happens that when you mix it vigorously, you get bubbles. Don't breathe the bubbles. The bubbles are epoxy. You don't want those in your lungs. But that's also an indication that we're getting good and mixed. Don't stir this gently. Don't do this. This doesn't help you. And I'm sorry, when I pull it off screen, I'm pulling it closer to me for the more vigorous mixing. If you mix like this, it just takes you longer. Mixing 2 minutes like this does not get you anywhere. I know people sometimes don't want to mix vigorously because they don't want the bubbles. Well, the bubbles are part of it, and that's why you torch things, to get the bubbles out. Now, yesterday we did a whole lot of stuff with epoxy and pigments, our art resin pigments. Today we're going to be working with molds, doing other things with our art resin. So I got to set that aside for a minute, and we're going to work with glitter. So this item I cast out of a mold yesterday. I think you might have, if you were here, you saw it. This is the mold, and it left a little piece of fuzz in there, but it also left an opening that says Mary. Get the fuzz out. Don't happen to have a tweezer, so the scissor's the next best thing. So right in here, it says Mary. So if you looked at it this way, it's probably correct for you, but it's reverse for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, and we're going to fill that in with a little glitter, and then we're going to fill it in with some epoxy, because we can do that. So for this one, I think I'm going to use the Shatter. This is our gold Shatter, super fine glitter. And I'm going to take my little pouring spoon, and I'm going to go in here carefully. And I'm going to fill in all my little letters. And take your time with this, because this is a little thing. And I get these spoons, I got these off of Amazon. And they're metal pouring spoons. I got a pair of them. I think the pair was $12. It's a neat little tool to have to control where you put things like glitter. Clearly, I think this is a cooking tool, but that's never stopped us creative folks from adapting it for our own needs. And I think my son, I was pregnant with my son, and I was working for another artist, and we used pasta rollers to roll out Fimo clay. So yeah, there's no stopping anybody with this stuff. Okay, so I've got that filled there. Now I'm gonna get a couple, this one I know needs to be filled in with something. And I'm doing the filling before I do the pouring, because I need this spoon to do the pouring on such a small space. So we're gonna put that one aside, and then I have some, let's see what I wanna put in there. We're gonna put a little bit of our silver dust in here. Now you can fill these openings as much or as little as you like. So the way to determine how much you want to put in is to decide how glittery you want it to be. Because we're going to pour the clear epoxy in here, and it will disperse all of this product. And so if I want to make sure it's good and silvery, I'm going to put more glitter in here rather than less. And if you hear any sounds in the background, my son is here with me today. He's working on some Christmas presents for people. Okay, so we got that one done. We got our Mary, we got our tree, and where's the last one I wanted to fill in with something? Okay, we've got love, and then we have this background. So I think what I'm gonna do is take, because again, this is really small, I'm gonna take the dust and go, the dust and go into all the love. Okay, let's get that down in there. Make sure everything's in. Now the fun thing is figuring out what to do in here. And you could put a photo in there and pour epoxy over it. Or you could do what we're gonna do, which is gonna be just kind of sprinkling some, well, I may not do anything right now, because again, there's this hole, and I don't know how to fill it at the moment. I haven't decided what I'm gonna do there, so I'm holding back. I'm taking a moment figuring out my plans. Okay, so we're gonna pull out some other molds, and we're gonna fill them with stuff. We're gonna see how those go. Okay, so I have this mold makes crystal formations like this, which is pretty cool. Now I poured this within a pigment yesterday, so we're going to put some glitters in here and see how that goes. So this is our gold tinsel glitter. Get a little bit of that in here. Come on. Tinsel glitter doesn't like to scoop up easily. Now, I know you're probably looking going, why aren't you mixing it into the epoxy? Well, I want to see how this stuff distributes and settles by just pouring in the glitter first and then pouring in the epoxy. I have a feeling it's going to push everything down to the tips, which will make a very cool result. All right, let's take some glass beads. And we're going to put some glass beads into the tip of one of our trees too. Now I know these will stay settled at the bottom because these are glass and the weight of them is heavy enough that it will keep that. So I want to get it filled about 1/3 of the way with the glass beads because I think that's going to make a cool look in the end. Let's see. Let's take some of our shatters. Where did my other tree mold go? I had it. Where did I put it? Where'd my little other tree guy go? I have another one like this, and of course I've misplaced it. There it is, it was behind the stand. All right, we're gonna do this one with, well, there's our Cozumel shatter, and here's our amethyst. And I think maybe the amethyst. It's a nice change of color story for me. So again, the amethyst shatter is probably going to settle. It's not going to disperse. It's heavy. It's like a glass glitter, which will make this a very cool looking result. But, you know, you got to be aware of what this is. So, it's going to do some different things. We're going to mix some stuff into things later on. Now I got to pull my gloves on because we're going to put the epoxy in those, and then we'll pour that, and then we'll move on to other ideas. Okay, my gloves don't want to go on, for heaven's sakes. Let me pull another light on here. Sorry, folks, you're going to get my arms and things. Oh, that light doesn't want to go on. Let's see if I can get a little more over here. Forgive my arms. There we go, a little more light there. I just want to make sure you all can see what I'm doing, and sometimes the lights go on and sometimes they look a little dull. All right, so we're going to set those to the side for the moment. And I don't worry about putting this in the epoxy because it's metal. So all I have to do is use some denatured alcohol to clean it off. I'll make sure everything's out of there. Now I don't need a whole lot of product in here to fill that little thing. So I just want to get just a little in here so I can get my pour down. Okay, so that's gonna sit a little funny in there for a minute. I'm gonna let it settle, and then I'm gonna come back and wipe it across, and then it'll be good. Now just remember, we are open for business, so we could have people coming by, coming in, and I'd have to step away for a few minutes to take care of everybody, but I'll come back. And if I spill a little bit on the surface here of these are already made out of epoxy, so cleaning that up isn't a big deal. And you want these on a level surface. Okay, and we're going to set that aside. Let me wipe off the overspill. I can do that. It's just epoxy on top of epoxy. That works just fine. All right, let's see if I can get the letters done. This is going to be the tough one. This is the tiniest of all. So say a little prayer for me. Okay. And there we go with that one. Now, I don't need the small one for that. I'm going to use a bigger one just because I happen to have this in a big container. Now I'm going to smack these a little bit because there can be air bubbles, especially when I put all that glitter in there. So you want the air bubbles to rise up and you can refill. And I had a couple big ones just come up and pop because there was stuff in there that hadn't been done. Now I do prep my molds. They're always squeaky clean, and then I use a mold release spray, which I'll show you in just a second as soon as I finish filling this one. Big old bug coming up. That's the one thing you kind of do need to watch for. It's not the little foamy bubbles that are the problem. It's the big ones that come up because you're pouring stuff and the over things like glitter and glass beads, and the epoxy has to have a chance to penetrate it and get through it all. And there's another big one that just came up. Okay, we'll set that one to the side. And then we'll fill this one. Now, if I wanted to, I could stop pouring right here, let this cure up, come back tomorrow, mix another color, or fill this spot again with glass beads and then pour more epoxy over it. I don't have to do this all in just a single pour, although I am today. Let's see if we got any more bubbles coming up, any more big ones. Let's have a little fun with this one. Let's try something. All right, so I've got bubbles rising, so I do have to torch this a little bit. And we'll have a couple more bubbles come up because I've just done that. Squeeze here and there. Now this I'm sort of torching right down into because it's thick, and even though it just smoked like that, it's not doing anything to it. I just want to make sure it's ultra liquefied. Okay, and then what I'm going to do, let's do this. We're going to take a little bit of this. This is our silver tinsel glitter. I'm going to put it in the bottom and then pour a little more epoxy over it. Now hopefully it won't shove it too far up through the whole thing, but then again it might. I'm not that worried. It's going to be a look one way or the other, and it'll be fun. And as soon as I pour all this stuff, I have some that I completed from yesterday, so you'll have an idea of exactly how I intend for all this to look in the end. Set that to the side for now. Let that start hardening. I need to prop it against something because that's a little tippy. Okay, that's propped there. Let's take our purple shatter one. Amethyst shatter, actually. And let's pour some epoxy in there. Yep, and see, we're going to get a couple of big bubbles that just come up right away because I've got to work the epoxy through all the glass shatter, and that means there will be some air bubbles that happen. And maybe we'll try the same thing with the gold tinsel glitter on the bottom of this and see how that comes out. It's either going to be awesome or a disaster. Either way, I learned something. So you all watching Christmas movies when you get a chance. We have been watching we watched Krampus the other night, which always cracks me up. Never fails to make me laugh. And then, which I know is probably not what it's supposed to, given that it's a horror movie, but it's a horror Christmas movie, so it's kind of funny. And I set that and let those bubbles rise up a little bit. Yes, when I do torch right into it, I can get a little smoke like that. Doesn't hurt anything, doesn't bother me, just is what it is. Okay. All right, so I have a little bit of cleanup to do on my Mary, so I'm going to take one of my little tiny Muji Q-tips, and I'm going to spray some denatured alcohol on it, and then I'm going to go clean it because I don't want any bad smears on there from where I was just wiping. This will clean it all off nicely too. All right, that'll dry just fine. And let me come back in here with the Q-tip and clean just a little bit. Right now I'm just blotting up the extra epoxy, and then I'll do the cleaning part once I get all the extra epoxy off. Now you don't have to go as fussy as I'm going right now. This is just one idea of how to do it. You could brush some Artsyville foil adhesive in the cutout areas and tap in glitter that way. And then just, you know, put a little top coat in these spots that are glittered up. And we're gonna have lots of chances to figure out how to do different things. Let me grab my gloves back on. Managed not to get myself too gooey on these, which is unusual. So, but we're gonna pour a couple different ones, and we're gonna mix some flakes, and we're gonna do some fun stuff here. So, all right, I've got a little cup here. Pour that much, and let's sprinkle some mica flakes in here. These are pearl mica flakes, I think. I think to go with the mica flakes, which they can be a little translucent, I think I'm just going to put a little tiny bit of our silver dust. Make sure everything's all mixed up, and we're going to put it into the Mary mold. Okay. I want to make sure I get all the mica flakes tucked down in. And that's going to sit for a few minutes. We're going to let the bubbles rise, do their thing. And I'm going to pour whatever's left in this into some other mold. So let me see what I got floating around here. we'll use this one. And this is how I prep the molds. This happens just to be an old a cake decorating mold, I think. And I use this product, which is Universal Mold Release. It works on all kinds of products, and you just take it and quickly spray your mold. You don't want to fuss with it too much. So I think I have enough in here. I need it because of the mica flakes. I have to pick what mold I use to pour the leftovers in, a little on the more careful side, because these flakes won't fit into little tiny detailed molds. They'll only fit into big molds or larger, more open molds. Let's see if I got enough to fit into this thing. This may just be the one where I dump every last bit of weird and odd stuff that I mix up. I've had a few of those. Let's get the last out. I just hate wasting stuff, which is why I always have so much cast little tiny paraphernalia like this. Because if I over measure my epoxy for a larger project, it can be problematic. Okay, this is sat for a while, so the bubbles have come up to the top. I can break them. There we go. We're going to have a really nice clear result on that. All right, so let's take a little bit of, oops, we got another bubble that just popped up. Yeah, I'm not sticking my fingers in there to pop bubbles, just to be very clear. All right, so I'm gonna sprinkle the glitter on here. I don't know how much of it will sink. I don't know how much of it will stay exactly where I just put it. We're gonna find out. Either way, it's gonna be awfully pretty. I might find out that really I should have been mixing the glitter in for this next layer, because this will only end up being one floating spot blob of gold in it. I don't know. We're gonna find out. There's lots of options on what the results of this could be, and not all of them are good. Okay. Torch a few more bubbles and let that sit for a minute, and then we'll come back and torch it some more. I'm going to get this guy. Yes, I was torching the Christmas tree that is behind you. You can't see it. And torch those. Give those a little quickie shot of stuff. Now this one's been sitting for a while, so you can see there's a little foam that's come to the top, which is the rising of the bubbles. And these silicone molds can handle me coming in here multiple times with the little torch, because they are silicone and they are safe to at least 500 degrees. So embrace that. All right, let's take our little tree mold. And we'll mix some stuff into another cup. Okay, so I've got some epoxy poured out. I gotta get that one. It's sitting over there. I'm watching all of my molds and my poured items around me to make sure they're sitting level and that nothing needs to be hit with the torch. Okay, so I love this one. Let's throw a little ice glitter into it. And now I can guarantee you when I pour this that the pearls will settle to the bottom and they'll become part of the front of the tree. So I don't want to put too many in because I don't want it to become too opaque with the pearls, but boy, is that gonna look really cute. It's gonna look like beads on the tree. So really, I mean, just because you don't know what to do with this stuff, there's lots of options and ideas of things you can do with glitters and micas and pearls and shatters and our glass beads and all of that. I mean, look how cute this is going to be. Okay, that is poured. I'm going to set that to the side. And I'm pretty sure all the glass beads are already poured in out of here, so we're just going to pour this in a couple of the little tiny faces. Did I fire up this one too? Oh yes, I did. This is sort of woodland spirits, so I have some of these like tree gnomes and stuff like that. This is a little owl face. And here's a very little tiny tree gnome guy. And you buy these molds on Amazon, on Etsy. I have some killer ones coming in. They're just, you know, they're coming in from Europe or from other places, so I've got to wait for them to get through customs. All right, so let's put those to the side. As you can see, I build up a pile of stuff around me. Pretty soon there's not going to be an inch of spare space. Let's pull our reindeer out. It's our little reindeer guy that looks, when he's dried and cured, this is how he looks. The opening is here. Yesterday I poured a little bit of more tinted epoxy in there. Looked super cute. All right, so what am I going to mix reindeer with? Let's take a little cup. Okay, let's go for, I don't know, silver tinsel, because then I can backfill reindeer in blue, and I think that would be fun. That silver tinsel. Maybe we'll put a little bit of our ice blue tinsel in glitter in there too. I'm just going to take this last little bit that's in this cup. Why not use it all up? We're just going to keep that little tiny bit of blue, and then maybe we'll just put a little gold in there so it'll be mostly silver and gold. Very, very festive, very Rudolphy. Let's pour. Oh, this guy's gonna look very disco. Okay, there's that guy filled up. And let's fill up this one. And what else have I got that I can fill? I don't want to use that one. That one's not going to work well for this. So maybe, so you can see I had this one on a slant. Stuff is smearing into each other. Doesn't matter. This is all the leftovers and the remnants. Whatever that black chunk of stuff is in there, though, needs to come out. And sometimes I just will pile on in these if I have lots of little drips and drabs of stuff that doesn't completely fill one. Whatever the keeps coming out of different cups, I just keep pouring them into the openings and seeing how it ends up in the long run. I've gotten some really cool stuff that way. So this one is, I'm just checking to make sure it got into all the openings. Okay, I think we have just 1 or 2 molds left, if I can find them. I got this one. Right now I'm missing the one for the little love tag. I have it, it's taken leave somewhere. Okay, so I have these last 4, and I have a couple ways I could do them, but I think what I really want to do is just put a little bit of stuff right in the center and then pour clear around it. So I need to clean off my spoon with some denatured alcohol. And alcohol is the solvent for epoxy, so if you get spilled on, if you need to clean it off a surface while it's still wet, that's what you're going to use. All right, so again, I need to, let's grab a little of our Cozumel shatter. I don't expect these to stay perfect looking. I have a pretty good idea that they're probably going to go wandering a lot when I pour the epoxy in there, meaning that they're going to spread a little bit when I put the epoxy in, but I'm okay with that. And if I accidentally get some in where I don't want it, then I move the other stuff around so it's all looking the same, because it's a lot harder to scrape it out of the little openings than it is to just add some more. It'll look just perfect either way. All right, I'm going to use a little of our chocolate dust in there. Well, I haven't used this one. It's brown and it's very pretty. It's got a kind of bronzy tone to it. Cocoa dust. Okay. I think these are all coming out super, super cute. Now I know I'm slightly off camera right now, so let me move some of the other stuff around so I can get back into the frame and you can see what I'm doing. There we go. That will help a lot. All right, so let's scoop some here. All right. So clearly I'm setting the centers in first. That'll keep it. So if I'm doing that specifically so that if I bump it, I don't knock the stuff out of the centers. And then I just come back in and finish filling the molds. And I don't worry about overspill or anything because I can trim it up. The only reason I don't like overspill because it's wasteful. And the drop I've sloppily spilled somewhere else could be the last drop I need to completely fill another mold. Come on, just gotta get the last little details on that one. just want to make sure they're all completely filled. And for some reason, this last one just seems to want to be slow for me to get filled. Okay, that one's good. Let's set that one to the side too. And then I think I just have one last one to do. One. Now, this has got a lot of tiny little detail in it, so a dust or a glitter works better than the shatter because the shatters are bigger, the dusts are smaller. So let's throw some gold into the last of this, and then we're going to pour out the last of the molds. Put that in there. Let's put a little dust in here. Not going heavy because I want it to be translucent. I don't want this to look like the solid colors I created yesterday. I want it to embrace the different products that I'm mixing in. So, see, we can do all kinds of stuff with these things. It's not just for gluing onto a surface. You can mix it into stuff and get all kinds of great reactions out of it. Now this mold is a pain in the tuchus. It's tiny. I have to work the epoxy into it. All these little details are super small. So you work the epoxy over it and let it level. And you have two options. You can pour it like a disc so that when it all comes out, it has a background, or you can pour it with the idea that you're going to trim it afterwards. Now I've done it with the idea of cleaning it up. So this one, I'm gonna pour it a little heavier and just see how I like it. See if I can make this into a nice big disc. Set that to the side. Okay, well, I have this last little bit, so I guess I better fill up whatever's left over on my little molds. If I'm off camera, oh, I think you can see me. I'm right over here. Out of this cup. All right, and in 10 to 12 hours, basically by the time I come back tomorrow morning, these will have all cured hard. And I gotta torch them to get rid of the bubbles. Help more bubbles rise to the surface. And when I pour something thick like this, I torch several times. I'll come back, do them 3, maybe 4 times, because what happens is this is that thick, the bubbles are going to rise up because I've made this more liquid, and so I'll have more bubbles to pop after that. And again, the molds, they don't get affected by that. Okay, so I have made a big old mess here. And I was going to share with you one more thing about what we can do with these beads and goodies and stuff. So let me just clear a little space to work. There it goes over there. A little bubble on that one I need to pop. Okay, so I've made this very, very, very sticky area over here. And I'm just going to clean up some stuff and get it out of the way. And then we'll do our last item. I'm trying so hard to get a clean space right now. But I have so many epoxies and so many molds that I'm making. I'm just trying not to knock things over. And I'm pouring one out by mistake. Oops. Oh well, it'll level back. It'll all be fine. Put some paper and some stuff with weight on here. Spritz my hands out so I can touch things without everything sticking to me. Okay, so the other day we were doing these bead gel coated ornaments. Now this is using the Artsyville glass bead gel that we get from, that is made by Artistic Painting Studio. So I love this project or this product, and it creates a great look here. And if you saw me, I was talking about the pigments that we were using, the primary elements, and how I rushed it and I hadn't sealed it properly. So this is what happens when you don't seal the pigments. They bloom into the gel medium and make kind of a mess. I knew that was happening. I kept it that way on purpose. So normally what I do with something like that, and I've already done it to this one, I take my Krylon clear acrylic spray. Move this one out of the way since I already did that one. And I do this. Quick, gotta shake it up. And then it's this. It's sealed. Now, of course, don't do this like I'm doing it right here in my own face. That's annoying. It'll dry up in about 10-15 minutes, be ready to use. Let me clean this off of here. This is a spray paint, so yeah, it stinks. Don't spray them in a well-ventilated area, not possibly where you're gonna breathe them like I just did. I've already done this one, and if you saw the live from the other day, you saw that I had done the painting on it, and what we're gonna do is take our Artsyville glass bead gel, and we're going to trowel it on. But we're also going to add some other goodies to it to enhance the look of this. So you can scoop a little bit out in here. That is a chunk from around the edge of the can. I don't want that in my mix. Okay, so I have it already mixed out, and the bead gel itself is fabulous. But if I want to just add, I don't know, a little extra something to it, I can add other beads, I can add glitters, I can add micas, I can add all kinds of things. But for this, I only want to add just a little pearls of a little bit of our pearls in the glass beads, because I don't want it to completely cover it. I just want, when it dries, to have a few little tiny pearls in there shimmering. And I think I'm going to do the same with just a little tiny bit of the silver dust. Again, I don't want to make so much dust in there it becomes opaque. I just want it to kind of lightly glint once this is dried and cured. So let me grab one of my tools. And if you've seen me before, you know by tool I mean an old hotel room key or an old video club card or an old gym membership or whatever you want. And this is going to go on white and solid, but when it, excuse me, when it dries, it's going to be gorgeous. It'll dry translucent and pretty. And you'll see the image through it. And you only want this as thick as one bead. Do not build this up thickly. If you do, you'll never see through it. And you can see I'm just sort of smoothing it across the surface. I'm not scraping it because if I scrape it, I get big drag marks, and that's not what I want to have happen. Get that one there. It takes a little practice to get to where you get the beads nice and smooth. All right, we're looking good. And then when this dries, this will be super pretty. And you can, of course, drill holes through it so that you can put ribbon through it to make it a complete ornament. I'm going to set that aside. All right. Now I'm going to take a look for a second and see if there's any comments or questions that I missed. But it looks like you all are pretty clearly understanding what I'm doing. All right, let me flip the camera up so I can see you all. Okay, so just a friendly reminder, the glass beads, not the bead gel, beads, glitter, mica flakes, shatters, and dusts are all on sale until 11:59 tonight. Take advantage of it, 25% off. We don't do sales like this very often, so if there's a product you see that on a live that I'm telling you is on sale, it's on sale for today only. Also, go back to our page, check it out. There is a full calendar there posted so you know exactly which product we're putting on sale on which day. So if you need to, you can plan your sale shopping. All right, everybody, it's been terrific spending the afternoon with you. I hope you all are having a great day. Please use that little arrow over here to do some sprinkles. And I didn't do a November contest because our October contest ran into November. So for December, we will have a contest, but it's going to be between Christmas, it'll be the day after Christmas and go through Christmas Eve. We're keeping it a short one, we're keeping it a small one, we're keeping it an easy one for this one. Don't ask me what it is yet. I haven't come up with it all in my head yet. And you know, I don't give you all the details on a contest if I don't know exactly what I'm doing. So just keep an eye out. But meanwhile, keep watching us for the sale of the day. Go back to the page, go back to our Instagram page, check out there, check the calendar so you know what's going on. And of course, once again, use your arrow and sprinkle the love. We appreciate it. Have a great one, everybody. Bye-bye.